ventilation from getting to it so it doesn't burn as fast as it possibly could. It's also part of our EFL program, and EFL is Environments for Living, and what that does is it helps it keep from communicating to the outside. And what I mean by that is air transfer, okay? The way that we insulate, if I was going to steal one thing from all production builders, I'd steal the way Pulte insulates. This is called blown-in cellulose insulation, okay?
Yeah.
It blows into the wall. It's unlike what you see the Pink Panther rolling out on the commercial, right?
I sold this stuff in Michigan.
That's called bat. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So you know all about it.
I know. Well, I know a lot about it. I haven't actually seen it though, because what we do is we do it on construction that's already done. So we drill holes on the outside of the walls.
Core holes, yeah, and blow it in that way.
Blow it in that way.
Yeah, and that's done also.
Yeah.
With that being said, that bat insulation I was talking about, the tech that installs that has to be very careful about the way he goes around things like these penetrations to make sure it's tucked properly so you don't get that air transfer. With blown-in cellulose, it blows in, it fills all those voids and gaps. They actually overfill it. And then they come back with this thing that looks like a big hairbrush. It's called a scrubber. And they put it up against the studs, and they just scrub it off so it's even. And that's why you'll see throughout the house. It's a great time for you guys to look at the house. You'll see how it's all filled out even with the house. That way when the drywall goes up, you've got your 6 true sides, which is what they look for. Okay? And it stops that air transfer. Because you sold it, you know that R value, the higher the number, the better it is. All right? Your R value on this insulation, usually once the stucco is on and your drywall's on, you're upwards around 21, 22 for R value, which is really good. Okay?
Absolutely.
Windows, you could buy the best one on the market. It's only a 4. Okay? So that's where you're going to get most of your hot and cold transfer.
Oh yeah. That was the first thing I seen when I walked in. The first thing I took a picture of without you here already. The first thing I took a picture of was the blown-in insulation.
And then on top of that, not only the weather that it takes care of, but notice how quiet it is inside the house. It cuts down on the outside noise very well.
Absolutely.
Okay? The rest of the stuff, as far as you're seeing is wiring, you're going to see that and any supply lines, which would be water lines, going up through your attic space. And then it feeds down to where it needs to go. So you don't have any of the old horror stories of a supply line leak underneath your house, because the only plumbing underneath your house is drain lines here.
Okay.
Okay?
So what are the yellow lines? If you look at these. You got the yellow?
Lines that they run for GFIs. So you'll notice on the yellow lines here, they're running to GFIs. And GFIs, like you see in kitchens and bathrooms, has that little reset button on it.
Okay.
The reset button for the 4 that you have, because you have an option out here, which we're going to go over. The option in this was for the garage package. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those outlets will all be on their own separate GFI, meaning one will control all of them. And then you're going to have a GFI over here as well. And this one right here, obviously they will cut that when the drywall.
So that's going to be a separate circuit?
For the outside outlets. It's a great question. So in other words, you're going to have an outlet on your front porch, you're going to have one on your back patio, and you're going to have one over by the AC unit. Those are all GFIs, but the reset button on those is right here.
And that's all that is a reset button? That's
No, there's an outlet there too.
Okay,
Yep.
now that outlet, for instance, I'm going to be epoxy in this garage.
Okay.
Okay, and now what I do is I use a hand grinder.
Okay.
And I also use a vacuum. Now they cannot be both plugged into the same GFI. So those 4, I couldn't plug the vacuum into that one and my grinder into that one.
Because those, yeah, so you would plug into this one or that one. I got another trick for you. That up there goes to the garage. It's not a GFI.
Okay.
So there's going to be the outlet that's used by the garage, and then there's an open outlet there.
So those will be different
Use that for
circuits.
whatever one pulls more power, like your grinder probably does.
Yeah, the grinder will pull more than the vacuum. Perfect.
Okay? And reminder of that, always check this first before you go back to the electrical panel, because everybody always goes back to the electrical panel and they're going, nothing's tripped and I don't have any power to my outside outlets. Well, that's because they got to come here and reset.
And that resets which ones?
The one on the front porch, the one on the back patio, and the one over by the AC unit. So anything on the outside of the house.
Okay.
Guess when I get this call most? Christmas time. When people are plugging in for their outside lights.
What the hell's going on?
That's
We
right.
lost power.
Okay, so
Cool.
then what you're seeing right there, those are for the garage door opener. Pulls down through there. The low voltage one is the one goes back to the button, and then it goes down to these actual boxes on both sides of the garage door. And that's where they'll put that little, it looks like a camera almost, and basically they're looking at each other, and it determines that if anybody walks in front of that, it causes that to go back up. It's a safety feature.
Gotcha. So one of these is for the garage door opener and the other one's for what?
They're both for the garage door opener. One will supply the power to the garage door opener, and the other one will actually supply the button and the remotes to the garage door.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay, and those both will, once the garage door motor's up, you'll see the wires running to them.
Yep.
Okay, and then the other things you're seeing sticking down out of the ceiling right here, this is where your fluorescent lights are going to go. So you'll have a fluorescent light, you know, with the two fluorescent
Yeah.
bulbs in it here and there.
Beautiful.
Okay, now back to some of your options here. This right here is a soft water loop. I don't know if you know much about here, but very hard water here, so it's not a bad investment for you to get a water softener. What it's going to do is it's going to feed everything in your house except the kitchen sink and the refrigerator. All right? Hot water, it feeds everything. Okay, it's just the cold water that it wouldn't feed those two.
Have you ever used hot water or soft water? You feel like you're still covered in soap.
It feels slimy, yes.
It'll take a while to get used to. You're going to be washing, you're going to feel like
Well,
the soap's not coming off.
One of my roommates had a Pelican water system. Is that water softener?
You know what? I'm sure the brand name
The
Pelican
carbon?
probably makes several different.
Filters through carbon.
Oh yeah, it's filtered that way.
It was awesome, and when you drink the water, it tastes great.
Yeah, see, and that's probably something to do with an RO, reverse osmosis, which would be something you would do with drinking water. With soft water, it doesn't go back to that. You don't want to drink that water. It actually doesn't go to your outside hose bibs either, because
Okay.
plants don't like soft water.
Because you
Right,
have
they
to
want
find
the
chemicals too.
But I got the hookup for soft water down
Salt
the road.
or
Salt,
a
right?
potassium. There's potassium salt water.
Yeah,
Or
you've got
soft
to
water.
buy.
So I got the
something
soft
in there.
water thing so that I can get that down the road. It's automatically.
Yeah, that's not something you have to do right away. Your water's going to be running regardless.
Right.
It would be something you can do down the road, exactly.
Gotcha.
And that could be determined by you on whether or not you feel like you're fighting the hard water spots. You know, that's what it'll cut down, is any of that
Calcium.
buildup
that
and
you
stuff.
see.
It's a good.
I like
investment.
hard water, but
Yeah.
some people can't stand it. My mother's one of those people.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't really matter too much to me, unless people are complaining. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to
That's
it.
right. At
you
least
know?
you have it.
Yeah.
And it is something that would be a good, one of the points you can put on when you go, if you go to sell the house, would be a selling feature.
Absolutely.
Now, what this does is this drains, because water softeners drain on a cycle, like every 24 hours they have to do a drain cycle. And what this does is actually the drain line goes back right in where your washing machine drains at, and I'll be able to show you that when we get in the laundry room.
Perfect.
Okay?
Awesome.
So, as far as options in here, the two that you have that I can cover in here is going to be, one will be the soft water loop, and then the other one was that the 4-outlet garage package. Okay?
Perfect.
So we're going to just step outside real quick.
Okay.
All right, but this was the real important stuff. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Okay. That is really important.
Well, I
you
mean,
gotta go.
all of this stuff here was, make sure you understand. Now
Remember, you got to. She was just making sure I'm like able to talk, and that's all she was checking on.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
doesn't-
she's
she
checking
doesn't
on
nothing
you.
about the important things. She's just making sure
She's
you're in
making
good
sure
hands.
I'm good.
I've done this before. I used to sell new construction.
So when you go to the parking lot, you'll see on the gate it says construction office. There's a little area you got to go around the back, and then the next door to your right will bring you in through the sales office.
Okay, I'll be right back.
If the lights aren't on, you got to walk in front of the entry because they're automatic. So you got to go to the entry door to get it to turn on. Okay, right this way. So here's your electrical panel. Okay. Once everything is put in, it's all going to be individually labeled to what it goes to. When something trips, it sits about halfway. You got to turn it completely off first and then back on. You can't just turn it right back on again.
Gotcha.
Okay. You're gonna have some other information in here once you close, and I'll be able to show you that when we do the pre-closing orientation, because that'll be the next time we meet. And again, I bore you to death and walk you around the house and talk to you about
Can't wait.
different stuff on the house.
I'm not bored at all.
That's good.
Not yet, anyways.
Good to hear.
We'll see in a little bit.
That's right. Okay, down here, these will actually go back to your smart panel, which I'll show you in the laundry room. And basically what it is you have Comcast or CenturyLink out here if you wanted a supplier of coaxial cable or telephone.
What about DirecTV?
Well, yeah, you can get that anywhere. DirecTV or Dish Network. That's all satellite stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, this is just for the hardwired stuff that comes into the house.
Comcast or Cox?
Comcast or CenturyLink. Comcast, Cox wouldn't be here. It's a Comcast neighborhood.
Gotcha.
And remember, those are not my vendors, but sleeves are provided, as you see, running through the ground, so that they don't have to redig your backyard back up if you decide to go with one of them. They'll just attach a box to the wall right here and feed it into your house.
Sounds awesome.
Okay? Similar to what you're seeing right there. There's a Comcast box right there, that gray one that's up high on the wall.
Perfect.
Okay?
Yep.
This is temporarily here. That won't be here once you close on the house.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to walk this way. You can see that weed screed I was telling you about. It's got the holes in it. That's because when the stuff gets on here, remember the water drains down that black paper, and this is how it drains out from the stucco.
Perfect.
these two lines right here go back to your water heater. The larger one being for the pan that's under the water heater. If the water heater was to ever leak, it would leak into that pan and drain out through the side of your house so it doesn't flood your garage.
Awesome.
All right. This one right here goes back to the pressure regulator on the water heater. So if it was to build up, if your water heater went over 150 degrees, it would build up enough pressure, it would have to release out through there.
It's not going to shoot through the roof.
You've seen that? Have you seen Mythbusters?
No, but I've seen an
testing on that.
Allstate commercial.
Yeah, Mythbusters did a test on it. They were blowing it through the tops of trusses.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, careful with your stuff as we go this way.
Okay.
Now your wall's going to come out right here, and this is where your AC unit's going to sit at.
Gotcha.
This is everything feeding back into the house. Right here, you're going to have a small box that hangs on the wall.
Okay.
And again, this will be retained inside the wall.
Gotcha.
Now, something we're going to do over here, most houses, you'll notice the gate will go on the garage side, but because you're going to have your AC unit on this side, we're going to put your gate on the other side.
Perfect.
Reason being is you're not going to have that much assets. If you want to get wheelbarrows into the backyard, things like that, you're going to have a tough time. So that's one thing I was going to run by you.
Well, the other side's better anyways, because you got the neighbors right here.
As far as your gate access.
Yeah, so it's better.
Okay. When you see things like this sticking out of the wall, this is basically a clean out, and it has to be provided because your master bathroom is right here. That would be an area, you know what a plumbing snake is, right? If you ever had a backup, this would be an area you'd be able to access the plumbing snake to get down into your drain line. And there's so many of those are required to be provided when you have a drain like your master bathtub is right there.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Perfect.
And then there's one of the outlets I was telling you would be on the outside of the house. That would be put here. Typically, it's put there for a tech that may need to service the unit, but obviously feel free to plug into it.
If
and
you
your
need
wall is going to go up and around.
Right, so I'll have it for the backyard right here if I
Yeah.
like, need it. If
Yes,
I need
sir.
to run an extension cord or something crazy.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, because your front hose bib is on the opposite corner, they always go opposite corner with the back hose bib. So this
There's
will be
my
your
back
backyard
hose right
bib.
there.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Notice on the windows, every one of them has weep holes underneath them.
Yeah.
How long you been in Tucson?
Well, I was here basically since 2009.
Oh, okay. So you've dealt with monsoon season here.
Yeah.
So you know about the rains, okay?
Yeah.
If you're ever standing here watching one of our crazy storms that come in, and you actually look down into the trachea window and you see water in the trachea window, they are designed to take water on that way.
Okay.
What they'll do is they drain out through these weep holes. Those are there for.
Absolutely.
Okay, these are low E windows. So basically there's two panes of glass here. On the inside of this outside panel, there's 3 layers of a silver lining, and that's what creates that low E. What it does is it cuts down on radiant heat as well as UV rays. Okay, so it helps stop yellowing, fading that happens from our sun. And then also, as far as radiant heat, the way they advertise it is they'll put a low E window, and then they'll put a window that's not treated with low E. On the back side of it, they'll have a heat lamp, okay? On the other side of it, they'll have this little needle that has a fan on it. And the one that's treated with low E, that fan's just barely spinning. The one that's not treated, it's spinning like mad, and you can reverse those windows, and the opposite effect happens. So the best way for you to see it is you can put your hand on the outside of the window in the summertime and feel how hot it is, and then on the inside, it's that much cooler.
I used to sell low E glass too.
Oh, you know all about it then.
So I know some stuff, but you just taught me something.
Good deal.
So it's good.
Okay, as we come on to the porch area, or back patio area, that's what I was telling you about. That's one of the outlets. If you plug into that, you're not getting power with that, Adam. You want to go to the garage for the reset.
Perfect.
Okay? And then that will be your back patio light.
Nice.
Okay, right on this way. Any venting that you have in your house vents to the outside. So I'm talking about exhaust fans in the bathrooms. We're talking about this goes back to your range, so where your microwave sits, it does hood and vent to the outside. Unlike my old house that vents into the upper cabinet.
Yeah, it vents right up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you actually do vent to the outside with everything you have on your house.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Because then you cook something, it doesn't reek the whole. I
turn-
mean, it reeks and reeks and reeks for. A
Well,
long
not
time.
only that, if you were, so sometimes watch your, don't step on this. If you like cook potatoes in the microwave, it takes so long to cook them that it heats up, right? So your microwave will automatically turn the fan on, and then mine never cools off because it doesn't actually truly vent. So it's a big pain in the ass. is what
Yeah.
it is.
For sure.
Okay, so your return will be over here with your gate on this side. There's 2 things. These would be an important part. This is a great picture right here, okay? If I was doing a book report, this would be an area I'd highlight, all right? These are condensate lines. Just like when you run the AC on your car in the summertime, you know that water that drips down underneath the car? Same thing happens on your air handler. Your air handler is up in your attic space, all right? there's a pan that's within that air handler that collects that condensation. It drains out through that primary condensate line. So it's very normal to see water draining out of that, especially June, July, and August here, because that's when we experience a little bit of humidity. I know nothing like what it would be in Michigan, but we get a little bit of humidity then. So if you see water dripping out of that, don't be alarmed. Okay?
That's a good thing.
That's normal, exactly. That one right there is the secondary pan. Basically what it is underneath that AC unit, they put a second pan. That's if this one ever backs up, it'll actually overflow into that second pan, all right? Now it'll start draining out through that upper one. The best way to keep it from actually clogging up like that is make sure you change your filters on a regular basis, okay?
Air conditioner?
It's going to be up in your, I'll be able to show you because it's up in your ceiling where you change these at. And I'll be able to tell you the sizes too. You won't need to worry about writing them down or nothing until we get to the closing.
Okay.
But if you change those filters on a regular basis, then you're not getting that lint and dust up on the coils, which mixes with that condensation, and it actually causes that to clog up. All right.
Yep. Perfect.
So if you ever see water dripping on it, and that's part of the reason we put it over a window, you need to call somebody or get something done about it. All right. There's no third pan, so don't.
Right. If that one's going, if that one's leaking, we're good. But that one starts leaking, now it's time for some attention.
Simple as that. Good, bad.
There you go. Perfect.
Hey, we're gonna go around this way. Okay. You think I'll remember?
We'll remind you. Who was that?
That's the stucco guy, Francisco. Okay, so what you're seeing, this is that supply line I was telling you about. This is the area of your house that I want you to make sure you wrap, okay?
Okay.
If you were to have a freeze, that would be the one thing they would say it's an act of nature and it's not covered. Because remember, I told you you have a 5-year moisture intrusion warranty. It's not going to freeze inside the walls, but if it did, you would still be covered on that because that's
Right.
interior.
Exactly.
Right? Exterior, it won't be. You're going to notice when you close, you're going to have a large contraption right here. It is a backflow prevent. And the idea behind that is you have non-potable water out here. So all your irrigation is run off that non-potable water. I don't even know if you know this in Gladden Farms. On this side, which is block 20, as opposed to that side, block 19, block 20 has non-potable water. All your irrigation runs off that. It's not metered, so you don't get charged for that. So any watering you do on your landscaping is no cost. They're actually going to do, as I say that, I think they're going to imply some kind of tax for it. So
Nothing is ever
we all
free,
know,
Lon.
So if
we all
you're
know
watering your grass and
we all
stuff,
know
that's
nothing is free, right?
right. Somehow, some way, they'll figure out a way.
You're paying something, but it's not like a
Meter
bill.
on your water.
Right, exactly. It will be on the water for your house,
Right.
but just not to the irrigation. I'll be able to show you because they have purple boxes that will be in the yard. It'll show you where the irrigation stems off of as opposed to where the actual house
Perfect.
comes off of. Okay? So that would be an area to wrap. You'll also see that you have a shut-off valve right here. So if you ever had a leak inside the house or you wanted to shut the water off of the house, you can just shut it off right here. You don't have to go fight inside that water meter box to get that shut off.
Okay.
Although there is a valve in there as well to shut it off in case you had a leak from there to the house.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay?
Yep.
This right here, a lot of people ask about this bell-shaped deal. What that is a PRV, a pressure regulating valve. Helps keep it below 80 psi because you don't want to go over that with pressure. Otherwise, you can risk the chance of fittings blasting apart.
Okay.
Never seen one of those.
Okay, just like I showed you on the side of the house, these are also cleanouts for a plumbing snake. If the drain was to ever back up, this is where you would access the drain line. Now, these have to stay exposed, so you'll see even when the landscaping is done, they're going to stick out of the ground about that much. By code, we have to do it that way.
Okay.
All right? You can put decorative rock over it or do something like that if you wanted to. Just know when you go to sell your house, if they brought in an inspector, he may call it out.
Yeah.
All right? And you want to know where they're at anyways because you may need to access them one day if something got clogged up in the sewer line. All right? Basically what they do is they go down in the same sewer line in a bullhorn effect. So they go down into the sewer line like this. So in other words, if you were to put a plumbing snake in here, the one closest to the street would feed it to the house, and the one closest to the house would feed it to the street. We used to just put one, but you'd have to try to fight it to get it to go one way or the other.
So it makes it easier access.
Absolutely. Okay?
Perfect.
Very good.
Moving right along. I'm collecting a lot of information. This is good.
Yeah, and a lot of it, like I said, I'll repeat, Adam, when we do the pre-closing orientation, so you guys will really be bored. Doorbell, that's going to be that front porch that I told you would be controlled by the GFI in the garage.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your front light.
Beautiful.
Okay, now into the main part of the house. As we come in here, I do want to go right over to give you an idea where the AC unit sits. So there's your air handler. The actual condensing unit with the big fan in it will be outside where I showed you on the non-gate side of the house. This one up here, that is actually the air handler, which is where your heat pump, everything that blows into the house will actually go from that point right there. And if
Gotcha.
you look down underneath it, you're going to see a galvanized pan that's about that deep. That's that secondary condensate pan I was telling you about, where those lines run off of. And if you were to look right here, you can see the white PVC line running right out to the one that goes over the window and the one that goes down low.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Okay? There's also decking that's up there. We ask you not to store anything up there, though, because basically what it is if a tech needed to get up there and service a unit, he's going to have an obstacle course. The other thing behind that is the weight is to be carried from the tops of the trusses, and that's the way it's designed by the engineer. Matter of fact, if you look, you can see it looks like dog chain almost coming from there, going up to the tops of the trusses. That whole unit right there is suspended in the air. It's not sitting down on the trusses, it's actually hanging from the tops of the trusses.
Beautiful, I can see it.
Okay, now I'm going to give you a little fast fact here.
Random fact.
A little fun fact.
This is the first random fact of the day.
Okay. This is your closet to your master bedroom.
Yep.
That's where your attic access is going to be. And one thing I like about this plan is it's kind of hidden back in here rather than being in the main hallway, which we do have in some of our plans. Anyways, your attic access right there, we'll just have a piece of drywall sitting down in there with a piece of insulation on top of that. You just push it up and out of the way if you wanted to access your attic area. Know this. This is, now I'm getting back to that fun fact. All right? That whole unit up there can come completely apart and fit right down through this hole.
Okay, yeah.
If it ever had to be replaced. And that's a code. You have to be able to do that. So you don't have to cut into your ceiling line if you ever had to replace your...
Oh, the whole air conditioning pushing
That whole
unit
air
thing?
handler up there, yeah, can come apart into pieces and actually fit down through there in case it ever had to be replaced.
So you don't got to get all crazy cutting drywall and all kinds of stuff.
I said it was a fun fact, not an amazing fact.
That's an amazing fun fact.
Amazing
That's
fun
great.
fact. Okay, let's go ahead and step through here and go to your laundry room.
What is the outlets for up there? Is it?
It's for a tech that may need to service the unit up there, and then you're also going to have a light switch up there too, because there's going to be a light up there. That's
So
a
if
good
a
question.
tech needs to service the unit, he's got an outlet
Up there to plug
and
into.
a light.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Now, coming into the laundry room, this is that drain line that I was telling you goes back to the water softener because it
Yeah.
has to drain on a cycle. And then the other one, you just perforate the edge of that to pull that out. That would be your washing machine and where it drains at. They both drain down into the same drain line.
Beautiful.
Okay? There is one option on this house that is not in yet. Okay? They missed it, and I've already called them on it, and they're coming to take care of it. You're going to have a stub out right here for a sink pre-plumb in your laundry room. Do you guys remember that on your list?
I've never seen that.
Okay, I came over here yesterday because for some reason Mike put it on my calendar for yesterday, and every time before I do this kind of an orientation, I walk the house to make sure everything's there, which is why we do this kind of stuff, because you can catch things, right? And right away I caught that. So the plumber's already got it in his plan. He'll be out here today to get that run.
So,
So
is there
basically-
going to be a sink or just the
Just the pre-plumb,
Just the
yes.
pre-plumb,
They didn't
okay.
actually
put a utility sink?
put the utility sink, which that's easy for you to do if you want to get just one of those freestanding plastic ones that they put up there. It gives you something to pre-soak clothes in, things like that. Yeah, but no, the drop-in sink was not something they purchased on this one when they did the setup on it. Okay, and what you'll see is, if you look in that bathroom right there, do you see the lines coming out of the wall? There's the hot, the cold, and then the drain line. That same thing will be coming out of the wall over here, but it will be trimmed off. So you'll already have your angle stops on there, so it'll be just easy for you to connect right to it.
Perfect.
Okay? Now, water's nasty in there. Same thing in the tub. Just take a picture of that.
It makes me want to jump right in.
Now, the reason that's like that is because when we go through intermediate inspection, they're looking for leaks. Okay,
Okay.
so I have to fill everything with water. I am now through intermediate inspection, so when this plumber comes out to do this, typically what we'll do is drain this, all right? It's mucky and dirty, right? When we go to close on your house, sometimes you'll get little rust stains in there because people will have a nail or something that's in there. I have a company that's a refinishing company to come and get that right off there if that ever happens. So, though it's dirty right now, understand this is ugly duckling stage. That will
Right.
be taken care of.
Absolutely.
Okay, and the house will be, that will be shined up and beautiful at the time the house closes.
Perfect.
All right, something I want to show you in bedrooms, and this is going to be in any bedroom with a door. You see this ductwork right here? You see how it's going from here, and it's just looping right over and going to this other side over here.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't go back to the unit. Why is that way? because it helps balance the pressure and the temperature in the room with the rest of the house. In other words, if you've been in an older house and the door's about 3/4 of the way shut and the air turns on, it slams that door shut. That doesn't happen here because you have jump ducts. All right? Now, a Pulte bragging point. The reason why I like jump ducts is other builders, as a matter of fact, we even do it in Red Rock, okay, which is a lower TCT level, less expensive houses out there, right? They have what are called transfer grills. Basically what they do is they just put a hole over the top of your door, serves the same purpose, and then they put a grill over it, all right? Why don't I like that? Because if you can look up in there and you can actually see this cripple, okay, so it's a little bit unsightly, and it also transfers noise a lot easier. So anything on the inside of the room you can hear on the outside of the room, and anything on the outside of the room you can hear on the inside of the room. When you have jump ducts, it softens that. And so there will be just a grill over that. No, that's not a supply. There's no filter up in there. It is just for air transfer.
That's
Okay?
good stuff.
This right here is your supply. That supply goes back to the unit, as you can see.
Yep.
Well, if this is my supply, why wouldn't I want it in the center of the room so it cools the room evenly? Remember what I told you about the R value on this and the R value on a window? That's why the mechanical engineer puts it by the window, because this is going to be where most of your hot transfer happens at. They want to do what they call wash the window. They cool this area first, and that's why it's closest to the window. Okay, and then outlets that you see in the ceiling, that is going to be where your smoke detectors go. It's going to be hardwired as well as a battery backup. When that battery goes dead, it chirps about every 40 seconds, right? Usually at 2 a.m. I want you to go ahead and make sure you twist that off the ceiling and unplug it. Even though that door can just be opened with it on the ceiling, if you just open the door and replace the battery, typically it doesn't reset itself. So I'll ask you to twist it off the ceiling, unplug it, pull the old battery out, you hold the test button, and it kind of goes, okay? Put the new battery in, put it back up there, and then hit the test button again.
Beautiful.
You remember all that?
It's getting recorded.
Good
So I'm
job.
not taking pictures. I'm actually recording this
Okay.
all. Because my mom's back home in Michigan, and everybody, they're going to want to see this. My mom's going to be going crazy when she watches this.
All right, when you look up in the attic space, you can also see that small measuring tape that's right there.
Yeah.
That's so when the insulator comes in to insulate the ceiling line,
That's the
He's
R
gonna-
value.
he's going to blow it in to make sure that insulation's at the level it needs to be.
Absolutely.
Now understand, if you go up there and look into the attic space, you're going to actually see some areas where it's going like this. They just make sure that it's at least up to that 8-inch mark.
Yep. Beautiful.
All right, now, if you look down at the floor, you're going to see some areas on the floor where there's a circle and there's 2 lines through it. That's going to show you everywhere an outlet was placed. The electrician did that when he did layout. All right?
Yep.
If you go over to this outlet over here, you see there's a circle with the 2 lines, and then there's an extra slash that goes through that. What that tells me is that is a half-hot outlet right there. And what that means to you is this top outlet on this dual outlet actually controlled by the switch over there. So in other words, you could plug a lamp into this, leave it in the on position, and turn it on and off with the switch over
The
there.
top portion only.
Top portion only, and we actually dot it with a little Sharpie so you know which one to plug into.
The final.
Yeah, when they
They'll make
go
it all
actually
pretty.
trim it out. Now, this right here will be 3 switches. The first switch will be that half-hot we just talked about. The next 2 switches are part of your fan pre-wire. So if you were to hang a ceiling fan in here, you had a lights kit on it, light, and then fan. So basically you're going to be able to control the light and the fan separately. However, if you were to go out and buy those expensive remote control fans, they are just going to wire back to one switch. The other switch would be dead because you just supply power, and now remote control controls the light and the fan separately.
Gotcha.
So because he has ceiling fan pre-wires, are they going to put a light fixture just like one of those globes? No, he's going to have nothing.
He's just
the-
going to have a cover
the
right there that
plate.
just you snap right off of there.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good question. None of that gets supplied. You have basically what we have is I'm going to go back to the ceiling fan pre-wire. You got 3 of them, so that means you're going to have a total of 5 because you get 2 standard. You get 1 in the great room, and then you get 1 in the master bedroom standard. And remember, it is just the pre-wire. You'll just have a
Yep.
cap up there. And then
Right.
the other 3 secondary bedrooms are going to be the other ones that got the pre-wire put in. And notice when they put a pre-wire in, they do blocking, so that gives you the ability to put any size light kit or whatever on there because it can hold the weight.
Right, not to worry about the size of the fan or whatever. Or shaking.
Well, that's usually an out of balance deal, and the important part about that when you put a fan up is don't turn it on until you can completely have it together and actually hung up there. If you try to test the power when it's down, it can knock that off.
I ain't installing nothing. I'm having somebody else
There
do
you
it.
go. That's the
And
best
then,
way to
and
do
then I
it.
can hold them responsible
And
for
it
shakes.
or you get kids like mine who throw socks and things up there to see how far the fan will knock it away, and then it knocks it out of balance.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Okay,
Now you
as
got
you're
itchy finger.
also looking up there, no, because there's,
I saw him touch it.
cut
That's
up.
why when he touched
It's not, there's
it's not the fiberglass.
This doesn't have the fiberglass in it. This is actually cut up with things
See?
like Levi jeans,
Yeah.
paper.
Leave a
It's
handprint
all
in
a
your.
part of that. And this actually
Don't you
goes
dare.
in. This actually goes in wet, so it'll actually stick. The stuff that goes on your lid, that goes in dry, obviously, because you don't want the weight from the wetness. And know this too: if you were to get up in your attic space, that decking that's supplied up there, if you're going to walk anywhere else through your attic space, you need to make sure you go truss to truss. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, you're coming right down through the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
All right, the other thing you'll see up there is you have all your supply lines. So like I said before, every supply line that feeds things like that bathtub right there, you can see the hot and the cold coming down to the back side of it right there, feeding down into that area. And same thing with the shower diverter.
Beautiful.
All makes sense, right?
It all makes sense.
And if you look right up in here, you're going to see these pieces of cardboard are going all the way along the outside area of the house. Those are called baffles. And what it basically does is it keeps the insulation from going right up against the bird board,
Stopping
so that
the
air
ventilation.
transfer will still, yeah, it would stop the ventilation if it did that. Okay, we're gonna
He knows. Huh.
That's why I
I was
stopped you
telling you about
before
the
you.
markings on the floor. I'm sorry, what's that?
I said that's why I stopped you before you said it because I wanted to show you my knowledge.
That's right.
About
You've already
the
showed me
baffles.
that. I'm already aware. Okay, I showed you the markings on the floor for the electrician. The other things you're seeing with the pink, that's just the drywaller coming through, and he pre-marks everything so that he knows when the drywall goes up, he knows where things are, so he has to make cuts so he doesn't cover it over. Now, does that mean he doesn't cover them over? He does.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of times through this drywall process that you may see some areas where their holes are. We get them fixed, okay? And I have to remind homeowners of that all the time. Again, like I said, the ugly duckling stage, there's stages throughout your house where you're going to have some areas like, man, I hope they take care of that. I don't mind at all if you want to email me. I can even give you my phone number if you want to call me, leave me a message and say, hey, I noticed this. Just know that I don't always take care of things right away. Say the stucco guy comes and breaks this window, but he only breaks the outside panel. He didn't break the inside panel. I'm not going to replace it right away because
Yeah.
then I risk it just getting broken again.
Exactly.
All right, so those kind of things, they all get taken care of. And you're going to see a lot of stuff happens in the very last week before you close. All right, but that doesn't mean you can't bring it up to me.
No, absolutely.
Okay, this is going to be one of those returns I told you about that will have a filter in it. This is going to be a 20 by 30 filter. Again, you don't need to write that stuff down now, but if you wanted to when you came for the walk, it'll just give you an idea of what filters you're going to need to get, because I can tell you all that. That one small hole that is right to the left of that, that is actually a fresh air vent. And what it basically does is when your unit is on, it helps mix with some of the outside air. Remember how tight we build things? A good way to describe that would be is if you cook fish on Monday, you don't want to still be able to smell it on Thursday, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why they help get some of the outside fresh air in here. There's going to be a smaller filter right up inside that little metal picture frame right there.
Oh, yeah.
It is washable. So you can take it out and just rinse it off with the hose and stuff it back up in there. That's called hog's hair filter, and 2-3 years down the road, if it starts getting ratty, you can just go buy more hog's hair filter, and they just cut. You'll see they just cut it right out of a larger piece.
Nice.
All right, and you'll see that returns right back to that air handler.
Gotcha.
All right, I am just going to hit some of your electrical options here. One is you got a pre-wire for your pendant lights.
Yep.
So as you come in here, you're going to see this is a pretty standard location for them. These will also just be capped, but that's so you can buy those pendants that hang down over the top of this bar top area here.
Yeah, so you got the bar top, and then you'll have those like swinging pendulum light type deals that can.
Do know that this is a pre-wire though, so that the pendant
Right.
lights won't be there. It'll be something you'd have to purchase later.
It's just pre-wired for all this stuff, so that down the road when I go to get the stuff, it's automatically ready. You don't have to.
Yeah,
worry
you don't
about
have to worry about any hard wiring. You just go ahead and wire it right. Well, you got to hardwire it into the ceiling, but the wire is already run to the switch.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay? And then can lights. Unlike what we're talking about pre-wire with that though, these can lights, you'll actually have the lights in there. So those will be switched can lights.
Okay.
And then of course the pre-wire for the fan here, which is one of the standard ones. Okay, the low voltage wiring that you're seeing, you're going to be wired for sound in here. So this is where everything's going to run into the room at. And then you're going to have that all run up to where our speakers are. So that's going to be your center channel there. You're going to have your front right and front left speaker. And then you're going to have your back left, back right speaker. Okay? And then you are going to have, Sometimes I'll put a subwoofer back on that thing. But you've got plenty of surround sound on this house, which is all comes back. And when you were saying master, that is the actual.
You're gonna want to put a subwoofer somewhere though.
That fits it right there.
We're gonna definitely need a subwoofer for this surround system.
Here's where it's going to run to. It's right here. That's where your subwoofer will wire on at. So basically what you're going to have is what's going to be a coaxial cable coming out of there. So that's where your subwoofer will sit. Again, that's a pre-wired.
We want the damn house to shake when we're watching movies.
Well, actually, it is set up really nice for this area right here. Something I wish I had in my house.
Now with the cellulose, they won't be able to hear it in the back bedrooms. But
well, do know that these interior walls, they don't get insulated.
Right.
It is just the outside walls.
No, they do have them in the master over there.
yeah, they have. Well, they have the
surround sound.
Yeah, and then you're going to have your volume control for that as well. So this will be the volume control to bring it into the master bedroom. So yes, it is.
Yeah, how does that work? That volume control thing? Like he was explaining it to me yesterday a little bit, but I didn't really understand it too much.
Basically what it does is when it brings it from the supply over here, you can control the volume in this room separate from the volume that's in the master. So this can be turned down and not being...
Is there going to be like a little panel box type of deal there?
There'll just be a blank plate on there. You would actually,
There'll
when
be a
you
blank
go to
plate.
purchase your surround sound, you're going to have to look into a volume control. You're going to have to look into whether or not you want mounted speakers or flush mounted speakers. Those are the type of things that's going to be up to you to determine basically what kind of money you want to spend, right?
Yeah.
But the boxes will all be supplied up there, and you'll have blank plates on them to access it.
Perfect. So
Okay.
then, I let the guy know that we have that, and when he's putting it in or whatever, then there will be a plate that goes right here that I can just touch it and whatever, and it controls all the volume.
Actually, it's usually a dial. Okay, right now there'll just be a blank plate on here when you actually close on the house. But when they set it up to where you get the speakers and the volume control, it'll just replace that blank plate. You'll actually have a dial right here for volume.
Okay. Perfect. And then there's a speaker right there in the back. So you can play like different things. Like if I want to play like something in here, I can play something different than in here and there. Like let's say kids are out in the living room watching a movie.
I believe you should have the ability to do that, but that's something that's beyond my knowledge. So you have to get with Alan from SSD. Is that who you met with?
That dude knows what he's talking about.
He does, and that would be where my questions go to. And
Got to get with the Geek Squad guy on that.
That's right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Something different in this room as compared to the rest of the other bedrooms. Those other bedrooms had what I told you was a jump duct. Your room in here is actually going to have a return. So besides that 20 by 30 filter that I showed you in the back hallway over there, this will be a 20 by 20 filter right here. And it's accessible with a hinged grill on it. All right, and then your supplies that come into the bedroom.
Beautiful.
Otherwise, no different. Every other room is going to have the half hot, so you'll have the 3 switches, light, fan, and half hot.
Same
switches.
deal.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yep.
All right, let's go into the kitchen area just so I can. Remember, I told you that everything that we do as far as exhaust fans is going to duct to the outside. This is where your microwave will hang. The exhaust fan on that does duct to the outside. I had showed you that hood that was out there. Now, it's solid. A lot of people ask me, well, how's it getting out there then? They have to wait until the cabinets are put in, and then they'll come and cut the hole because it has to go right up underneath that upper cabinet. So when they come in and do the trim and you start getting all your grills put on the supply lines, on the supply vents, then that's when they'll actually cut that hole and you'll see it before the appliances come. Okay, obviously some of these features we won't be able to look at because they won't be going until later, but I'm just going to run through the majority of it. The first on the option sheet is master bath, separate shower and drop-in tub. You can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Visible in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Bedroom 4, as opposed to have the extended garage, you've got the bedroom 4 over there, which was one of the ones that got that fan pre-wire in it.
Yep.
Then you have your den, which is over here, left of where you're at, Adam.
Yep.
Okay. Door at the master bath. So if you were to come around into going in your master bath, I'm going to give you guys some exercise here.
I need it.
Those I need.
We get into the master bedroom area. They optioned for the door here. Otherwise, this would just be an opening. Now, the way I can check to make sure that my trim guy's aware of everything, I can see he's already come through. He's marked it for a right-hand 6'2" door. Okay, so he's already aware of it. I don't need to worry about it anymore. Okay, Double doors at the den, so at your den where that opening is, you'll actually have doors there. Sink pre-plumb in the laundry room. That was the one thing I told you that I noticed wasn't in yet, and that will be in. Soft water plumbing loop we looked at in the garage. Backflow preventer that's on has to be on block 20 and 21 side. That was the unit that I show you. There'll be a big contraption on there when they actually finish the plumbing on the house. Okay, bay window at the master bedroom. That's an easy one to see.
There's your carpet.
There's the extra space I get by the bay window.
He's like, what are you talking about?
too.
The carpet at the bay window.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that. That actually, this little bit of distance right here
It
makes
makes
it
the
feel
room.
so much bigger when
It
you're
really
in here.
does.
Yeah.
Okay, the other things are raised cabinets there. Obviously, I can't show you that stuff. I already showed you the 4 outlet package in the garage. We saw that.
Yep.
Ceiling fan pre-wires with the double switch. I showed you that was in all the other 3 bedrooms and in standard in the master and in the great room. Okay, 3 pendant light pre-wires, the next thing on the list. We already looked at that in the kitchen. 4 recessed can package with the switch. That's what goes in the living room right there.
Yep.
Flooring upgrades. Obviously, can't look at those today. Master closet rods and shelves. That's a funny thing that we've added that you have to actually buy now, which is crazy, but that's
Closet,
something
but nothing to hang it on.
we'll see. Yeah, it's funny because in another community we have, they actually have an area that's open that you would have to purchase. You'd have to option for it to be a closet. So when I went up there to walk one of their houses, I was going, "What's this? They missed something, right?" No, the people just didn't get the option for the closet. So now it's just this open cubby hole that
But nothing.
nothing.
Put some boxes in there or something.
Yeah, box plants.
You lay your shirts down on the floor.
Well,
Okay.
you know what a lot of people do now is they put their dressers in their closets. That's what a lot of
That's weird.
Well, that would be
They-
something they could do there. Yeah, like
see,
an
they-
armoire
they-
or something like that.
Well, they leave everything out here, and then they put their dressers in their closets, so they're not using the space in the bedroom.
No, they were just so damn pissed off that they had to spend money on actual rods and stuff. They said, "The hell with that!
$150.
I ain't doing it." That was just They were just trying to make a statement.
And then the rest of it's the structure wiring and the countertop as far as the upgrade on that. So that
Beautiful.
pretty much covers all the options. I'm going to kind of tell you where we're at in the process right now. Okay, so when this first starts out, we have to dig the underground plumbing. That underground plumbing gets run. I have to get an inspection done. All right. After that inspection happens, then we can backfill. They finish out the rest of the form boards. They run all the cables for post tension. Are you familiar with what post tension?
He was explaining the post tension. But break it down real quick, like little
Okay,
Reader's
basically what it
Digest.
is when concrete's poured, there's 3 guarantees to concrete, all right? It gets hard, it cracks, all right? We already talked about that, and no one's going to steal it. The last one's my funny little humor, all right? When those cables are run, they're run in a grid pattern, north to south, east to west. When the concrete's poured, about 7 days into that pour, after that pour, they actually tension those cables between 7,500 and 9,500 PSI. So basically what it's doing is it's compressing that. Remember that I told you the cracks happen? It keeps those cracks from separating, or what we call shelving or displacement. So that's the idea behind post tension. It's been around for quite a while, and it's something we use on all of our slabs now.
Gotcha.
So I have to go through a pre-slab inspection, both from Protex as well as the municipality. Once that is passed, we can actually pour the concrete. We're obviously past all these stages. I'm just telling you what it's been through. So then once they pour that concrete, we come in and frame the house. When the house is finally up and framed, we have to go through a clip and nail inspection. And this is the municipality, Town of Marana, comes out, they go and inspect. They're making sure that everyone, these are called H25s, those little clips right there.
Yep.
They have those holes in them. They'll check to make sure there's a nail in every one of those holes as well. Okay?
Wow.
So that's part of the inspection, as well as making sure all the trusses are where they're supposed to be by the way the engineer drew it out. Once I pass that, windows go in, okay? Then they come in and they do all of the electrical wiring, all of the HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, air conditioning, any of the plumbing that's going to stem out of the wall, which one they missed over there. And then they run the lath on the outside of the house. Now I go through an intermediate inspection, which is the toughest one to pass because he's looking for a lot of stuff. Even if I have one of these penetrations going through the top plate and there's not foam in it, he'll fail me for it. Okay, so that's how critical they get. Now, once I go through the intermediate inspection, we can actually insulate. And I am getting somewhere. I'm not trying to bore you guys.
No, I'm getting it. I love it.
Once we insulate, they have to go through an insulation inspection from 2 people, EFL, which is Environments for Living, and from the municipality. Municipality is making sure that we have all exterior walls insulated. What EFL does is they're looking for little things even. If I was to have an area up here where it created smiling because I had a gap, That would be where air transfer can happen at. That's something he'll have me repack that. Okay, so that's the kind of things they look for. Now, we're to that stage right now. I've passed insulation inspection. The next thing you're going to see is today they're going to actually stock the drywall, and then they'll start hanging the drywall. Once the drywall is hung, they'll actually come in, and let me see if you look on the ground, there's areas where they've marked a 7 on the ground. Those are called shear walls. I don't know if you've seen some of the houses when they're framed, and you might have even seen this one at the frame stage. There's actually areas where there is particle board up, okay, the plywood particle board. The reason that's there is for shearing. The idea behind it is if you took a deck of cards and made a card house and you blew on it and it did this, all right, that's called racking. So that's all shear walls are for, is wind resistance, to keep your house from racking, all right? You also have drywall shear walls. Those drywall shear walls have to be nailed off in a 7-inch nailing pattern. So your nails can be no further than 7 inches apart from each other. They can be closer than 7 inches. And they also look for anywhere where nailing might be too close to the edge and it's causing breaking on the edge of the drywall. So those type of things they look for as well. Now, drywall nailing inspection happens. I have no more inspections until the final inspection, because the rest of the stuff that goes in your house is cosmetic.
Yep.
All right? Nothing else is structural. So now things really start moving. And that's times if you're coming out on the weekend, you're noticing stuff, again, don't hesitate to email me or call me. While it is going through that, know that after the drywall nailing happens, they come in and they tape and texture. Okay? Then they come in and they run all your trim. Your baseboards go up, all your trim for your door casings go up, your doors actually get hung. Next thing that happens is the painter comes in, he starts prepping, okay, caulking everywhere there's gaps, filling nail holes. He'll actually paint the interior of the house. The next thing that happens after that is cabinets get installed, all right? I'm not going to keep going. I'm to the point I needed to get to, all right? So in between the time they're painting and the time that you get cabinets is when you're going to get a phone call from Kim Ko. She's the closing coordinator that is in Phoenix, all right? She's going to set up your closing date, and she's going to set up your pre-closing orientation, which is the next time you and I are going to meet at the house. Again, I'm going to walk you around the house. We're going to spend about 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours together, okay? Looking at anything. If you see even a paint touch-up, I'll tag it, and we'll get it taken care of.
Yep.
All right? But that, again, more orientation mostly, but also gives you another chance to look at the house before you close. That usually happens about 3 to 4 days before you actually close on the house. Did they give you any kind of date on when you probably expect the house to close?
Well, he said that he'll deny it, but he said around July 15th.
What that
Mid-July.
Just understand when he gives you that date,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
tentative, right?
Yeah.
However, when Kim Cole calls you, that's a
Yes.
concrete date.
He said somewhere in the middle of July.
That's going to happen. Just know that if you had cabinets in, you haven't been called yet, go ahead and go over and ask Mike or just bring it up to Mike and say, hey, Darren told me by cabinet time I should already had somebody call me and set up an appointment to close.
What are you thinking? I mean, what do you look? I mean, based on all your experience, what do you think this house will be closed?
Had I wrote it down, but we are going to be middle of July, and guesstimation. Remember, everything has to be tentative right now.
I'm holding you to
understand.
it. You're on.
Well, the
Camera.
good thing is I only have my drywall nailing inspection to go through. If we were further up in the process or not to this point yet, then I'd be more concerned, because sometimes what I tell people is if you come out to the house a lot, every once in a while you might come out on a Wednesday and then you came back out on Saturday and you look in the house and go, nothing happened. Well, I might have had inspections Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So that might be what the house is going through.
So you're looking at around mid-July too.
Yes. Remember,
We're not going to write that down
till
solid.
Kim
It's not
Cole
in
calls
stone.
You, then when Kim Cole calls you, start making your plans. Call a moving truck. Get everything set up at that point.
Yeah, gotcha. Awesome.
What is the covering on this in the bathroom and the kitchen? Are they going to do that throughout the whole house or just the
That's a
wet
phenomenal
area?
question. The reason why we do that is cabinets go on the wall in there. So they dry spray those. If you dry spray it, it doesn't stick. So you have to have the netting up there. The reason why you're seeing the holes in the netting is because just what Adam was
puffs
talking
out.
about, it's so that they could actually cut a hole and get their hose in there to blow that insulation into the wall.
Okay.
Similar to what you were talking about when you said you would do it afterwards, cutting the hole in there. The reason we do that is because there has been some history in anywhere they put cabinets up that mold would actually grow. So we do netting all the time, and it's all dry.
You don't want any condensation if there's cabinets going to be going up.
Yep, to make sure that those areas don't have to dry.
Okay.
But again, here in the summertime, this stuff is bone dry already. We haven't even
Right.
started hanging drywall yet.
But that's like super duper
That's if you're in a
cautious.
really humidity, high humidity areas.
awesome.
Okay.
Hey, will you cruise over real quick, just like Reader's Digest version of the warranties real quick?
Sure. First of all, you can always go to Pulte.com,
Mhm.
okay, and it's going to give you all the, because there's exceptions to everything, right? It's going to give you a rundown of specifics as well. But pretty much for the first year, you're pretty covered front to back, side to side, top to bottom. The two things I will tell you, plants, only warranted for 30 days, one of the worst warranties we have. And then scratches, dings, and nicks, we want to make sure we catch those in the first couple of weeks. All right? For 2 years, you have the mechanical warranty. It's going to cover all of your wiring throughout the house, any of your HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and then any mechanical plumbing parts, which would be like your water heater, your garbage disposal. For 5 years, you have a termite warranty, and you have a moisture intrusion warranty. The moisture intrusion warranty is leaks from your rooftop, walls, windows, or any interior plumbing leaks. So remember, that one pipe that is on the outside of the house is the one I want you to make sure you wrap.
Yep,
okay?
perfect.
And then you have a 10-year structural warranty. And that covers all of your structural concrete, which is the the post-tension concrete we talked about. It's going to be basically everything that you see poured now. Driveway, sidewalk, that's not part of it. All right? Those are only covered for 2 years. And when we talk about that, remember, when I say warranty, it's cracking. If you had cracking on the exterior, that flat work I was talking about, if it exceeds 3/16 of an inch, then they'll come out and actually do repairs on it.
On the house?
On the driveway area.
Okay.
Structural, you're more worried about heavy, because you're going to have settling anyways, and we actually do this. This is a big thing that you want to remember. The 11th month is going to be an important month to you, and here's why. We will actually do a one-time courtesy of coming out and taking care of any drywall cracking that is happening against window frames, or if you had some nail pops, you know what those would be, where a nail actually, because the settling has caused a little indentation on the wall. We'll do repairs on that. Why am I telling you the 11th month? Also grout. Because I can tell you, you're going to see some grout cracking like by the front door. All right? We'll take care of that at the 11th month. Again, why am I saying the 11th month? You don't want to go past a year because they won't do it after a year. Why do I want you to wait for the 11th month? Because now your house has gone through a hot and cold season. It's done most of that expansion and contraction it's going to do in that first year, and it's a great time to hit it.
Perfect.
All right? And you can call the Customer Assistance Center to set something like that up.
Absolutely.
And it is just for settling stuff. If you had a door rubbing on a jam and it's hard to open, I don't want you waiting until the 11th month on that. You need to call in right away on that and get that taken care
Right,
of.
we're talking about stuff that would be from the concrete settling,
Easy for me to say.
expand
Stucco,
and contraction.
drywall, and grout. Those are the three things you would want to wait for that 11th month. Now, when I say stucco, understand you're going to get some separation around your window frames. You can get some hairline cracks in your stucco. Those are all normal, nothing, and they're nothing more than cosmetic anyways. But they won't fill it until it exceeds about 1/8 of an inch.
Is that when you can fit a quarter in there? Is
Yeah,
that what they
nickel
say?
quarter. Yeah,
Nickel
that
quarter.
people
If
use
it
that term
gets
quite a
that
bit.
big, then
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
Okay, and then all that information for the Customer Assistance Center, I provide you all that when you close on the house.
yeah, you'll have a book with all the.
Yeah, they don't. What they do is they make you go to that Pulte.com now. They're trying to be paperless on everything, so they don't do.
That's
Well,
good.
thank you so much for our pre-drywall
Absolutely,
inspection.
no doubt about it.